Picture this. It's a beautiful summer weekend. The barbecue is going, the kids are splashing in the backyard pool, the adults are laughing and catching up. But what if I told you that in the middle of all that joyous noise, the most dangerous sound at the pool is actually silence?
Oh, absolutely. Gives me chills just thinking about it, honestly. Welcome to the Rising Parent Podcast, everyone. I'm Edna.
And I'm Tim. Today we are tackling a heavy but incredibly important topic. The official title for today's episode is Silent Danger: Crucial Water Safety Rules Every Parent Must Know. We're going to break down why drowning doesn't look the way it does in the movies, how to implement a foolproof water guardian system at your family gatherings, and, this is a wild one, why the color of your toddler's swimsuit could actually save their life.
Such an important conversation. But real quick, before we dive in, we just want to remind you that new episodes of the Rising Parent Podcast are released every Monday and Friday, so make sure you're subscribed.
Yes, exactly. We also want to mention that we created this podcast to help families and to raise funding for our nonprofit mobile food bank, Selfless Outreach. If you want to support the cause, you can direct yourself to selflessoutreach.org. We'll also have a link to Selfless Outreach right down in the show notes for you. Now, let's get started. All right, Edna, I see you brought your absolute massive half-gallon water jug into the studio today, just really leaning into the water theme, huh?
Hey, look, I just got off a coaching call with a family going through the dreaded 18-month sleep regression. I need all the hydration and caffeine I can get today.
Fair enough, fair enough. Speaking of those sleep-deprived early months, we work with families all the time who are just barely keeping their heads above water, pun intended. And when summer hits or family vacations roll around, the anxiety around water safety just skyrockets.
Oh, totally, because you're already exhausted, right? Your brain is functioning on like a solid 10% battery, and the idea of taking a toddler near a body of water is terrifying.
It really is. And I think the biggest misconception, and we see this in our coaching sessions a lot, is that parents think they will hear their child if they get into trouble in the water.
Yes, the Hollywood effect.
Exactly. On TV, someone is drowning and they're thrashing around, splashing, yelling, "Help me, help!" But real-life drowning, it is almost always totally silent.
It's so terrifyingly quiet. It's what experts call the instinctive drowning response. When a child or anyone really is struggling to breathe, their respiratory system takes priority over their speech. They literally, physically cannot scream.
Right, the brain just goes into survival mode. The arms are pressing down laterally against the water to try and leverage the mouth above the surface, so there's no waving for help. Their head is usually tilted back, mouth open, and their eyes might look glassy or closed.
I actually remember a situation back when we provided daycare services. We had water play days with these shallow little wading pools, and one of our toddlers, let's call him Leo for privacy reasons.
Oh man, I remember this.
Yeah, little Leo, again, for privacy reasons, that's not his real name, he just sort of slipped under. No splash, no cry. He just lost his footing, sat back, and went under. I was standing literally 3 feet away and pulled him right up, so he was perfectly fine, just surprised. But it was completely silent. If I had turned my head to look at another child for even 10 seconds, it could have been so different.
Yeah, it happens that fast. I was actually working with a dad in one of our coaching sessions recently. Let's call him Mark for privacy reasons. And Mark was telling me about a scare they had at a community pool. He was sitting on the edge of the pool, dangling his feet in, right? And his 4-year-old was barely 5 feet away. Mark turned to grab a towel, looked back, and his daughter was just bobbing silently, struggling to keep her mouth above the water.
Oh, wow, that poor dad. I bet his heart just dropped into his stomach.
Completely. He told me, "Tim, I felt like the worst dad in the world because I didn't hear anything." And I had to stop him and say, "Mark, you didn't hear anything because there was nothing to hear." That is the silent danger we're talking about today.
That is such a vital point. Parents carry so much guilt, especially in our coaching sessions. They always think they should have just known. But if you're waiting for a sound, you're looking for the wrong thing. You have to actively watch their face.
Absolutely, which brings us perfectly to our next big point. How do we actually watch them? Because let's be real, at a family BBQ or pool party, you've got aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends. Everyone is around the pool.
Right, and you think, oh, there are 10 adults here. Someone is definitely watching the kids.
Yep, the classic trap. Everyone is watching, which means absolutely no one is watching.
It's so true. It's the bystander effect, right? You're chatting, flipping burgers, assuming Aunt Susan has her eyes on the pool, and Susan thinks Grandpa has his eyes on the pool. Meanwhile, the toddlers are just roaming free.
Exactly. That's why we always recommend the water guardian system to the parents we work with, or you might hear it called the water watcher system.
Oh, I love this system. It takes all the guesswork out of it.
It really does. The concept is super simple. You designate one specific adult to be the official water guardian, and their only job, no phones, no flipping burgers, no deep conversations, is to watch the water. We usually recommend 15-minute shifts because, let's be honest, human attention spans are short.
Especially if you've been chasing a toddler all morning. 15 minutes is about all you can handle of intense, unbroken focus.
Right, and the key is making it official. You need a physical object to pass around, a lanyard, a silly hat, a whistle.
Oh, I have a great example of this. We work with this incredible family. Let's call them the Millers for privacy reasons. They had a backyard pool and threw tons of summer parties. The mom, let's call her Sarah for privacy reasons, was incredibly anxious about pool safety. She implemented the water guardian system using this ridiculously bright, tacky, neon pink lei from a dollar store.
I love that. You can't ignore a neon lei.
Exactly. So if you were wearing the pink lei, you were on duty. And Sarah told me that at first her relatives rolled their eyes a bit, like, oh, Sarah's being overprotective. But within an hour, everyone loved it because when they weren't wearing the lei, they could fully relax. They didn't have that low-level hum of anxiety, wondering if they should be watching the pool.
That is such a brilliant way to frame it. It's actually freeing for the other adults. I am not holding the lanyard, therefore I can enjoy this hot dog in peace.
Yes, and when Sarah's 15 minutes were up, she physically walked over to her husband, handed him the lei, and said, "You are now the water guardian. The handoff is crucial."
You can't just shout across the yard, "Hey, watch the pool." You need verbal confirmation. I have the lei. I am watching the pool. It creates this unbroken layer of protection, and layers of protection are what drowning prevention is all about, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because fences and pool alarms are great and necessary, but technology fails. Gates get propped open. The human element is your strongest layer, if you organize it correctly.
Right. Now, I want to pivot to something that kind of blew my mind when I first learned about it years ago, and it still blows the minds of the parents in our coaching sessions today.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. The swimsuit colors.
Yes, swimsuit colors. Okay, Edna, walk us through this. What is the worst color swimsuit a parent can buy for their child?
Without a doubt, blue. Any shade of blue, aqua, pastel green, white, honestly, anything that mimics the color of water or the bottom of a pool.
It is basically camouflage.
It really is. And it's so frustrating because when you go to the store, especially the boys section, what color are 90% of the swim trunks?
Navy blue with little sharks on them.
Exactly, or light blue with palm trees. And parents buy them because they're cute. But if a child wearing blue or white goes under the water, especially in a slightly murky lake or a pool with a glare from the sun, they vanish. They literally blend right into the environment.
Yeah, the visual distortion of water is crazy. Water agitates, it ripples, light reflects off of it. Even a child mere inches below the surface can completely disappear if they are wearing colors that blend in.
I think about this all the time. Back in our daycare days, we had this little girl, let's call her Maya for privacy reasons. Maya's parents always sent her to water play days in this blindingly bright, neon orange, long-sleeved rash guard.
Oh, I remember that rash guard. You could see her from space.
Literally. But it was amazing. When I was scanning a group of splashing toddlers, my eyes locked onto Maya instantly. It didn't matter how much splashing was happening, that neon orange cut right through the visual noise.
That's the exact advice we give to our families now. You want neon orange, neon pink, or bright neon yellow. You want high contrast. If your child is in a pool or a lake, you need their swimsuit to scream, "Here I am," even if they can't.
It's such an easy fix, too. You're already going to buy a swimsuit for the summer. Just make a different color choice. And for the sleep-deprived parents out there, this completely eliminates decision fatigue at the store. Just go straight for the neon rack.
Right? Is it blindingly bright? Perfect, I'll take it. And this applies to life jackets too, by the way.
Oh, yes, good point. Which, just to reiterate for our listeners, water wings, floaties, puddle jumpers, those are pool toys. They are not life-saving devices.
Nope, not at all. In fact, puddle jumpers can actually create a false sense of security. We see this with toddlers we work with. They get so used to being held upright by these arm floaties that they jump into the water without them, expecting to pop right up, but their bodies haven't actually learned how to float or tread water independently.
That is a whole other layer of silent danger, honestly. Coast Guard-approved life jackets are the only way to go if you're on open water, like a lake or a beach. But even in a pool, direct supervision, the Water Guardian, is your best tool.
Absolutely. Man, this is heavy stuff, but it's just so necessary.
It really is. It's about replacing fear with empowerment. When you know the rules, you don't have to be terrified. You can actually enjoy the summer.
Exactly. You move from a place of constant anxiety to a place of confidence, which is exactly what we strive for in our coaching work with families.
So true. Okay, Tim, you want to summarize our key takeaways for today?
Let's do it. Key takeaway number 1. Drowning does not look like splashing and yelling. It is silent, it is fast, and it looks like a child just trying to tilt their head back to breathe. You must watch their faces, not just listen for noise.
Key takeaway number 2, never rely on the crowd to watch the kids. Implement a dedicated Water Guardian system for 15-minute shifts using a physical object like a bright lanyard or a silly lei.
And key takeaway number 3, toss the blue and pastel swimsuits. Dress your kids in high-visibility neon colors like orange, pink, or yellow so you can spot them instantly in any water condition.
Perfect. Just 3 simple rules that can truly save a life.
Absolutely. Well, parents, that brings us to the end of today's deep dive. We hope you feel more equipped, more confident, and ready to tackle those summer pool days safely.
We really do. And please, if you found value in this episode, we have a quick favor to ask. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to the Rising Parent Podcast. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on. It really helps other parents find the show.
Yes, and remember, we release new episodes of the Rising Parent Podcast every Monday and Friday, so we will be right back here with you in just a few days.
Also, before we sign off, just a reminder that we created this podcast to help families and to raise funding for our nonprofit mobile food bank, Selfless Outreach. If you found value in today's episode, please consider donating to Selfless Outreach by going to selflessoutreach.org and hitting the donate button. Every donation helps Selfless Outreach serve the underserved in our communities.
That's right. We'll make sure a link to Selfless Outreach is provided right in the show notes for you to easily click. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with us today. Remember, you're doing a great job, and you've got this.
See you next time, everyone. Keep rising.